Our last and final act is Sherry Ann Brown. There she is.
Sorry, I don't have a guitar or pom-poms. I finished this about half an hour ago. The title is Everything I'm about to tell you is a true story. Everything is true. When I first read Cell Slam, I instantly thought poetry. But can I write poetry about Mr. Perkinji? About how you get a taxi if Mr. Perkinji doesn't function to the max, yeah? And it's supposed to be fun? How is this done? I said to my friend, I don't know, man. I signed up for this competition, hoping I'd get some inspiration. She said, you'll get some inspiration, I have no doubt. By the way, what's it about? I said, I don't know. They asked for a title and I wrote untitled. But apparently about anything in science, I'm entitled to write. And then I have to get up here and whatever I write, recite. Then I started telling her about migration. I described it like it was PlayStation, or Wii. Then after a while, we got hungry. We tossed around some ideas in a tub. Do you want pizza, pasta, or a sub? Somehow we started searching for Bombay Club. It's an Indian restaurant on Con Avenue, between H&I or what have you. When my friend and I got to Con Ave, this guy drove up, but he wasn't a cab. For some reason, he rolled down his window but didn't open his door and yelled to us, "What you looking for?" Startled I was and scared from my death, I responded, "Thanks, we're all set." "You ain't all set, what you looking for?" The man yelled, scaring me some more. "We're looking for Con Ave," my friend beamed. "You're on Connecticut Avenue," the man screamed. I stepped up my pace, thinking he was done. "Where you going?" the man shrieked, and I started to run. "She a punk, she afraid," he laughed to my friend. By that time, I was around the bend, and I stopped. Out of the blue, Bombay Club popped up. Filled with joy I can never forget, I opened the door and took a deep breath. Eventually, my friend caught up to me, walking as laid back as could be. It was 10:50, 10 minutes before closing. At 11, the kitchen would shut, but we could sit as long as we wanted to, eating. It didn't matter if we got there 8:30, 9, 10:30, or 10:50. It didn't matter if the kitchen was open for 10 more minutes, 20, 90, or 150. As long as we got there before it closed, the chef would be there waiting at his post. As long as the kitchen being open coincided with our arrival, that would guarantee our survival. The coincident incident was what was critical. It really wasn't mythical. But what it made me think of is what I'm here to tell you of. When it comes to cleaving PIP2 to give IP3, how does the Purkinje neuron spine get enough? Average PIP2 concentration in the membrane isn't enough to give the required IP3. That's insane. So we considered PIP2 going through the spine neck and into the spine head by lateral diffusion. But it turns out the spine necks are so narrow and so long that they lead to restriction. Very little PIP2 actually gets through in time to make initial IP3. I know that's insane too. So we figured simulated synthesis or local sequestration at the time of stimulation. Simulated synthesis gives long-lasting signal with amplitude elation. Local sequestration gives high amplitude but limited duration. We thought that was the end of the story. We wouldn't get enough calcium, but it turns out we had to add an addendum. It doesn't matter how long the duration, as long as calcium coming in through voltage-gated calcium channels results in coincident activation. It doesn't matter if the IP3 signal duration is short or long, as long as the IP3 amplitude is high when extracellular calcium influx comes along. It doesn't matter how long the IP3 amplitude is open for, as long as it's open when calcium comes in the door. The IP3 amplitude could be high at 8:30, 9, 10:30, or 10:50. The IP3 amplitude could be high for 10 milliseconds, 20, 100, or 50. As long as the calcium influx occurred before the IP3 amplitude had fallen, you could get long-term depression. As long as the high IP3 amplitude coincided with extracellular calcium's arrival, you can guarantee a large calcium transient survival. The coincident incident was what was critical. It no longer seemed mythical. So what does PIP2 local sequestration have in common with Bombay Club of the Indian nation? Duration only matters in the context of timing. Once you get in before the kitchen closes, you'll be eating. Once the calcium influx from the climbing fiber stimulus coincides with high IP3 amplitude from the parallel fiber stimulus, you can get long-term depression. That's a huge vote for local sequestration. But remember, simulated synthesis works just as well. Local sequestration or synthesis, the same story can tell. But only in DC did I find Bombay Club. only in DC did a man yell at me and make me run. Thank you.